So listen up. Okay, Rabbi, thank you for that amazing introduction. I also want to say that I'm deeply grateful to Shiri. She works with me, and she was so patient with us as we made this happen. Sivan, you're doing great things. Amen. I feel right at home over here. You have to understand, if you knew my background, you'll realize this is not something that's a high-paying endeavor. I made much more money doing other things. So it's important that you know my background. Or maybe a little bit more light would be good. Yeah, that's good. So that you know what drives me. I was born in Cairo, Egypt. My father's family came from Syria, Sephardi. My mother's family came running away from the communist revolution to Cairo. So mother was Ashkenazi. My father and my uncles were Talmidim of Rabbi Yosef when he was chief rabbi of the country. In the Six-Day War, I was about 6 years old. My father was arrested with all the Jews because the Egyptian Air Force was wiped out by the Israeli Air Force and they wanted revenge. So they arrested all the Jews with the intent on executing them all. I can't get into the story and the miracle of how we got out, but we got out because it's a long one. Suffice it to say that my future father-in-law, my wife is Israeli, is sitting outside Cairo in a tank, counterintelligence for Tzahal, listening to every conversation between Nasser, the authoritarian leader there, and Assad, trying to pull him into the war. So we made it to New York, where we were welcomed beautifully by the local Sephardi community, which is the Syrian community. And I think my life is the ultimate life, what it means by Arba Kanfot Aretz, in gathering of all the exiles. Because my high school experience was Yeshiva University, very broad. I grew up in Cairo, so my entire thesis of life was Rambam, Torah and science. You have to be able to merge with the world. You have to mix it up with them, but be able to be a good role model for them. After that, on to NYU and Harvard, where I studied to become a physician. I then went to NYU Medical School and became an orthopedic surgeon with a subspecialty in sports medicine. I was one of the two people that got an internship at the Olympic Games in 1984, where I was lucky to be able to treat a lot of those athletes who were in trauma or had injuries. After finishing that, I came back to New York with the intent that I never wanted to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning again. I was done with that life. I'll be a doctor, I said 1 to 8, but 9 to 12 is my private time. And what I decided to do was, because I had a love for Torah, I wanted to continue my Torah studies, and I had an ability to teach. So 9 to 12, I was a communal volunteer, teaching young men and women who were coming home from their Shana in Eretz Israel. And they came to my classes, Chumash, Hashkafa, and about 30 years ago, I started getting questions. I'm going out with him, I'm going out with her. Is he for me, is she for me? And I was clueless. I didn't know what to tell them. I had no experience with this. But I liked the subject, it interested me, and I started reading book after book, article after article. And eventually I found myself under one chuppah, 20, 30, 100, 200, 500, 700. I moved to Miami in 2002 because I had a medical license there too, just a little break from New York. And I continued my work there. I was a physician there, but also I taught for University of Miami for Esha Torah Sameach. Many people came to our house. Again, I continued to increase my skills, so to speak. And I moved back to New York for one reason, Shidduchim. First 3 girls. It wasn't going to happen in Miami. Maybe it's a little better today, but it wasn't what I was looking for. And I was very close to a Hasidic Rebbe called the Tasha Rebbe in Montreal. I used to go visit a lot. Man had serious Ruach HaKodesh. My brother-in-law walked in, my sister was pregnant. He didn't know, wife's pregnant, twins, boy, girl, bam, like that. He nailed it all the time. He said, you need to go back to New York now, you have to worry about your girls. And eventually I had more. I ended up capped up at 7, 12 grandchildren today. And back to New York with the intent, maybe I'll go back into practice, and this thing is a nice side gig. Every time I want to go back into medicine, something comes up. And I used to volunteer. I did something called Dating with Dr. Jack near Torah University. Every Wednesday night, dinner, and you get a lecture. Now the lectures that I had developed were very different. I didn't look at what others were doing in dating, but I decided there's got to be a science to this, and I studied it. And so I became the toolbox guy. One of my friends, who was a very big educator from Ohio, came in one day and said, can I bring a camera and tape you? I said, fine, sure. He then put it on several chats and several WhatsApp groups and websites, Torah websites, and then next thing I'm being deluged with emails from all over the world, literally. Hong Kong, Singapore, Israel, London, California. I said, I think I see my calling here. I dropped that and said, you know what? I'm just going to become a dating coach, match people up, and help them. Today I travel the world doing that. I guess the height of my career was 2 years ago when my dear friend Aliza Ben Shalom called me up. She said, I have something really interesting you might want to consider. Would you like to go on Netflix? I said, no. Because I don't want to deal with the flack of what happened with Julia Hart, my unorthodox life. I don't need that. You know, they'll throw my kids out of school. What if I tell you, she says, that the executive director is a graduate of a Beis Yaakov in New York? Would you talk to her? I said, yeah. She called me up. Her name is Ronit Poland. She said, you should know, I just went to one of the Gedolei Hador of America, Rabbi Kamenetsky, and he said to me, do it if it'll give a good name to the Jewish people and make it Kiddush Hashem. I said, if you say so, I'm in. And we did it. We had fun with it. Those who saw the show, I'm in episode 6, that guy, that's my house. And we'll learn a little about tonight. And he went on to get married. Not to that girl, but whatever. But that girl, by the way, it just shows you how big New York is, lives around the corner from me, and I never saw her my whole life. The one he was dating on the show. Anyway, it's a little bit about me. So the point I want to make is, if you're doing this work, if I'm doing this, because I love it. I came here for one reason. A 38-year-old client who had a divorce, who had a 6-year-old daughter, who came to me 2 years ago in like an end of summer singles event, broken, nishbar, I can't get a date to save my life. A good-looking guy, kippah sruga, doesn't make a difference, you know. And he said, I can't get a date. What happened was he moved from New York and he set himself up on top of a mountain in West Virginia. There's not even a Jew within 100 miles, not even Chabad within 200 miles. He wanted to just run away from life. And he became, my student. I mentored him. And right before Pesach, he calls me up. I've been chatting with this Temani girl from Tucson, Arizona. We've been going out. I think this is the one. So he tells me his dream was to make Aliyah. He's a cybersecurity specialist for the United States Department of Defense. And he works for IBM right out of the house. And you got to give the guy credit. In the 3 years he was living by himself, he mastered Tanakh on his own. Very diligent. And so I said to him, Aaron, can you fly her into New York? I want to meet her. I want to see how she connects with you. And they came in, and I have an office in New York. Most of my work is Zoom worldwide. Some New York, but a lot mostly not. International. I like this girl a lot. I said, let's go. Let's go to Tainyan, close it up. And then in July, he said to me, he calls me up, he says, I'm doing tickets for the wedding. It's going to be in Ashkelon, September 4. You're coming. I'm buying you a ticket right now, and that's why I'm here. But I told him not so fast. I'm not coming just for a wedding. I'm coming if I can help people. And I want to speak. I'll get back to you in about a week. Within a week, I built out a whole lecture circuit. I have been every night on. I came to Israel with a mission to help people. And I'm going to share with you what I'm seeing so that you could learn. Now, I'm going to treat tonight like I'm a doctor. Signs, symptoms, tests, what to do. We start with a joke. It's called the husband store. A new store has opened. It's called the husband store. There's a sign at the entrance. You can visit the store only once. There are 6 floors, right? Shisha komot. And the value of the products increases as you go up. The shopper can choose any item from that floor or continue going up and buying something else. But you can't go back down. You have to leave. You buy from that floor and leave or keep going up, but you can't go back down and change your mind. So a woman goes into the store. On the first floor, the sign says, here we sell men who have good jobs. Wow. Amazing, right? She says, that's nice, but I want more from life. Just a guy that has a good job. Today, halavai, everyone should have that. Right. Floor 2, she goes up. There's a siman. Here we sell men who have good jobs and love children. This is getting better now. She's intrigued. But what's up going on in the 3rd floor? Floor 3, men who have good jobs, love children, and are very good looking. She says to herself, this is already most of what I want in life. But the Yetzer Hara is getting to her now, like the demon with the fork. So he goes up to floor 4. Here we sell men who have good jobs, love children, are extremely handsome, and help with the housework. They clean, they mop, they do the toilet. Fantastic. She said to herself, it can't get better than this. Well, maybe it could. So let's go to floor 5. Here we have men who have good jobs, love children, are very good looking, help with the housework, and tell the best jokes. Having found what she's looking for, she says, I'm going to buy. And then the last minute, she pulls back the credit card. Let me see what's going on in floor 6. She goes up to floor 6. And there's a sign, an electronic sign. Welcome! You're a visitor 42 million. There are no men on this floor. This floor only shows you that women are impossible to please. Just a joke. Next week, I promise you I'll come back and I'll do the men's side. Okay, so we need an education. Okay, so we're going to start with we're going to put down some principles. The more you do what you're doing, the more you'll get the same result. Einstein famously said, insanity is doing it again the same way and expecting a different result. Tonight, I will introduce new ideas into your head to see what's going on in the whole Jewish world. I think I speak about it more than anyone. And I'll give you an idea of what's happening, and then you can say, oh, you know what? I could change this, I could change that. So I hope you're not in a rush. Next, in Shidduchim, especially when you're an older single, I want to say something that's important. You don't fail when you fall, unless you fail to get up. You go through a hard relationship. You put a lot of investment, shkata zman, kisif, and time, and you had a breakup. And it can be devastating. But don't let yourself get all broken up. It's very important. Take the time you need to heal and get back out there again. I always tell my clients, treat them, I know it's hard, treat it like a business. It didn't go, yalla, next, move. We got to keep moving. Take the time that you need, but you got to get up again. So we need a strategy. Joke again. 3 men, Giovanni the Italian, Isaac the Jew, and Joe the Polish guy, are sentenced to 20 years in prison. The warden, the prison warden, asked, by the way, slow me down. If you don't understand anything, ask me to explain. The warden asks them, he tells them, you, Giovanni, you, Isaac, and you, Joe, you can take one thing with you inside and then we lock it for 20 years. What would you like? Giovanni says, Mr. Warden, I want a wife. Granted. Isaac the Jew says, give me a cell phone and a charger. Granted. Joe the Polish guy says, I'd like a case of cigarettes. Granted. 20 years later, they open the door. Giovanni comes out. Thank you so much, Mr. Warden. In the time I was in prison, I have 12 bambinos. Right? So he's happy. Isaac the Jew says, thank you so much. In the time that I was in prison, I called all my Jewish friends on Wall Street. I traded stocks all day. I'm a multimillionaire. Joe the Polish guy, what did he ask for? Cigarettes. He looks at the warden and says, could you spare a match? No strategy. Okay, true story. This happened in New York City. Okay? There's a very nice area in North New York called Muncie, New York. I used to go there for the summer. Beautiful, green, but now became all year round community. There's a guy who's a hatan, he's a religious guy, dati. He's going to get married in 3 weeks. 3 weeks. Suddenly, he develops some problem in ma'or shelo with his skin, and mother says, "Ay, bavoy, what are we going to do? We have a wedding coming up. It's going to be in a hotel in Manhattan, and he has this problem on his face, this disfigurement." So they told her, the best doctor is on the Upper East Side in Manhattan. He can handle this, the best dermatologist. Make an appointment with him. Fine. So this guy's a Tamim boy. He was in yeshiva. He goes to the doctor's office, and he walks in, pretty crowded, a modern crowd, and suddenly a pop star walks in. Everyone knows who she is. Blonde, red hair, nose ring everywhere, tattoos, the whole thing. Wow! Everyone's saying, did you see who's here? Did you see he's here? Everyone's like saying hello to her, and somebody goes like this to him, and he goes, do you see who that is? I don't know who she is. So then the word got back to this nurses, the chayot in the back. Did you see that the kafri, the guy's a villager, he knows nothing. He's so pre-civilized. And they told the doctor in the back, he's an Ashkenazi guy, but not so dati, not at all, actually. So when it came time to be examined, He says, oh, I hear you're from those, that team. Oh, you guys are so pretty civilized. You don't know anything about life. Let me teach you. I heard you're getting married. Let me tell you. So the kid wasn't an idiot. He says, doctor, how many times were you married? 5. He says, I don't need to learn anything from you. 5. So we could teach. There's what to talk about. Okay, question number 1. What's the mitzvah of marriage all about? And the mitzvah of marriage is about having children and leaving a legacy. There's a great writer, Lawrence Hagioff. He has a friend. He went from London to Israel. And he made reservations for himself, his wife, and 5 children. But he couldn't put them all together because he booked last minute. There was a guy sitting next to him, watching what's going on. Abba, can I have pretzels? I'm hungry. Another kid comes and he goes, Abba, I want to go to the bathroom. Got to move back and forth. Abba, where's my play game, my PlayStation? And the guy looks at him and he says, are these all your kids? He says, yeah. I just got married, he tells him. My wife and I had an interesting discussion. Should we have children or should we not have children? And we decided, no kids. This world is a terrible place. Wars, famine, suffering. Why would I want to bring children into such a world? The man wasn't stupid. He said to him, yeah, you're right. That's the reason why my wife and I decided to have children. By bringing children to the world, we could fix this world. We can make it a better place. We Jews believe in Tikkun Olam. And then he hits him with a line that hurt him. He said, you, my friend, are running away from the problem. My wife and I are fixing the problem. And that's one of the most important points. I just want to touch on this. That marriage, and this is what my rabbis taught me, they were great stars. Marriage, the idea of marriage, the nisu'im of marriage, the whole framework of marriage is what makes you special. And I'm going to talk about it a little later. When you're not challenged, when everything goes easy, so you don't grow. Now, you can't have all the time to yourself because you have to take the kid to the doctor. Or your wife asks you to pick up the food for Shabbat. Or this is how you develop your character. And marriage is the laboratory to develop character. And as long as you're not married, it's not possible. Why is that? Because I'm going to tell you a little Kabbalah. The Zohar says that the Shekhinah comes through the woman, Nikeva. As long as a guy is not married, he's Chatzi Guf. He could be tremendous, learns Torah, does mitzvot, but he's never going to accomplish his mission. Because in order to be Adam Shalem, you need the wife. What's going on today? Here's a great book that I read, written by a nice guy and not a Jewish guy. Ego is the enemy. It's what's getting us in trouble today. Not for me, I don't like this one, doesn't look right, doesn't make enough money. People are rejecting left and right today quickly. And I'm going to get into that a little bit. Why? Because they're chasing fairy tales. That's what's going on. They're trying to develop a human being that doesn't exist. It's called living in Olam HaDimyon. I want her legs and her eyes and her hair. And the problem is compounded by media because we have something called a cell phone. And I can open the phone and in a matter of minutes look at 700 or 800 girls. And that confuses me a lot. It's confusing a lot of people, and I'll deal with that a little later. So it's become a little bit more difficult. Because 100 years ago, you lived in a place in either North Africa or Eastern Europe or Western Europe. There were maybe 40, 50, 100 girls in your town. And you had a limited pool and that's it. You didn't make a big deal about it. The problem is today, we've become comfortable. And we're in our comfort zone. And please forgive me, I didn't come here with the intent in any way to criticize anyone. I'm simply telling you what's going on, and with a little bit of understanding, open your mind up, ask yourself, is there some crime or something that I'm doing wrong that I could change a little bit so that I can get out of my comfort zone? We want to get married, but we have to realize we're very attached to our comfort zone. I have my Uber takeout coming to take care of my food. The Chinese lady comes over and picks up my laundry. At least the Chinese do it in my place in New York. And then the lady comes and the Ozeda comes and cleans. You go to work. Life just goes on and on. There are people that I've been handling as clients that can't get their act together for 9 years. They're just happy in their zone. As a matter of fact, I'm going to tell you right now, and he loves me, so he doesn't care about this, it'll be on tape. I'm handling the biggest AI guy in Columbia University right now. 48 years old, going out with a girl who's 49. 5 years living together. Klum, nothing's going on. I said, I'm done with this stuff. No more living together. This is going nowhere. You're making her crazy. She froze her eggs. Her time is flying by. What are you going to do now? Well, I need more time. No, you don't need more time. I sat with him right before I left Israel. I said, my friend, you make your mind up now. I'm giving you one more date, and that's it. Done. You know, you can't waste her time. It's not fair to her. Because I'm going to show you why in our world, we can make this happen faster. Marriage requires effort and work. The problem is, we're in a me-first society, and people want to take care of themselves. But what is the shortish of ahava? Hav. What does hav mean? Give. If you're a giver, and you develop the concept of giving, you're going to be an attractive person in marriage. They're going to want you. They like that energy. It's right there. We don't have to go looking. I've read a lot of books, and Baruch Hashem, I can tell you about all the secular. I read it all. But the Torah gives us very good wisdom. Look for a giver, and if you yourself are a giver, will draw that energy. So that's very important. Okay. Many people today are going into marriage unprepared. They don't want to work at it. They don't want to commit to it. Unprepared to sacrifice, and unprepared to bend. They don't want to compromise. Marriage, my dear, is a not-for-profit business. That's what it is. With some love and romance, it's fine. You understand? You have to learn how to compromise and negotiate. You sometimes get your way, sometimes don't get your way. But in a Me Too society, that's destroying things. So it's taken us from a 30% divorce rate to today we're holding over 65. And that's the problem. Everyone's concerned about ani. And that's a problem. A successful marriage depends more on you being the right person than you marrying the right person. You could be a good guy and marry a bad girl and raise her. And the same thing, you can destroy someone good because if you're bad. It's about you. Stop thinking about other people. Tonight's focus is on you, is on me. You understand? The more you work on yourself, the faster this will come. Sad, I came here and wonderful taxi driver, 30-year-old guy, not married, and he tells me he was molested numerous times. He gets phone calls from America, from homosexual guys in the past, and he doesn't want to go that route. I said, go work on yourself. First of all, block all these guys, get rid of them all, work. I've seen this a lot. And once you work on yourself, you'll have the kelim to be able not to deal with it. Very interesting. $5 million AI study. 5 million. Can AI predict your partner in life without having to even look? Find you the girl of your dreams. So there was a woman who's a PhD in Canada. She had 85 scientific assistants, 12,000 heterosexual couples. And they did a study. Can AI predict your spouse? And they asked them things like, where you live, what's your sexual tastes, physical appearance, interests and hobbies, and they analyzed the data. After looking at 12,000 people, using state-of-the-art machine models. And the answer? No. Can't. You know why? It's too random. First of all, you're going to tell us what you want, not what's good for you. Yeah, they tell you, we can predict who gets the most swipes, the most gorgeous looking guy and a beautiful girl. That we know. And that's the problem. We can't build an AI model on what you want because what you want isn't good for you. You need to understand what you need. That's the hevdel. That I'm going to talk about a little later. Want is like, physical, which is important. Physical attraction, money, travel. He'll take me to Miami 3 times a year. That's not what we're looking for. You want needs, kind, compassionate. No anger issues. I always tell the girls, I told this to my 3 daughters, and they listened to me. Girls, I don't care if the guy doesn't have a penny to his name, but there are 3 things that I want you to look for. If he passes all 3, marry him. Kamsan, Kasan, Kaptan. Stay away from these qualities in a man. If they're excessive. Anger, cheap, and have to have it my way. There are certain things that are fundamental. And look especially for something called Simchat Chaim. Life is a long journey. You don't want to spend it with someone who sees the cup as half empty, who wakes up and is depressed and atzuv. Look for Simchat Chaim, that's so critical. So what did they find? What did this $5 million study, I'm going to just go to the end. What were their conclusions? They could not tell you anything about your partner. But here are their findings. This is what they spent $5 million on. John, were you satisfied with your life before you met the girl you love? John, were you free from depression before you met the girl? Or it could be the woman too. John, did you have a positive effect on people? You see what I'm talking about here? It's all you! Forget about her. Forget about the guy if you're the girl. How are you doing in life? How happy are you? How free of depression are you? What kind of hashpah are you having on people? When you come to see your friends, are they happy to see you? Do you make a good influence on people? That's key. And we're here in this world, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, to continue to improve. Most of my books, and I have 4 floors of library in my house, is all about self-growth. Because if you're not going up, tell me if I'm wrong, you're going down. You've got to be working on yourself all the time, working on your midot. Let me share an incredible story with you that happened in Israel. There was a guy, Hiloni, he's fine, working in the Israeli television station. And to supplement his income, he was a maitre d' in a wedding hall at night. And you know they have the custom to bring out the cake, and they put sparklers on the cake. And sometimes the sparkler doesn't light, so he has a little bottle of lighter fluid, and he squirts it, goes zap, 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 and it lights. One night, there's a wedding, he brings out the cake, I think it was in Yerushalayim, brings out the cake, there's 2 little girls running, and they go right into the cake, and the girl's all fire. She's burning alive. People are just paralyzed. The photographer was a smart guy, he grabs a tablecloth, he rolls the girl up. But by the end, she had 3rd-degree burns. And the man who's telling the story, my father was an officer in Tzahal. You couldn't shake this guy. He's crying like a baby. He took the responsibility that he was the one who was Bal Achra'i, that he caused it. And the parents are telling him, the parents of the girl, it's not your problem. You didn't do anything wrong. And he went with her to Hadassah, and the girl was treated. That got this guy started on becoming more frum and more religious. And they lost touch. The girl was sent to a special burn hospital in Paris to take care of her problems. He goes, I grew up, I went to the army. My father was religious, but I wasn't really interested. It wasn't for me. And I decided after the army, I got a job in a candy store. Mitokim, Zeshelanu, something like that. So the owner was a religious guy. He told him, you know what, you're a good guy, I want you to be the manager. He hired a girl. It's an amazing story. He hires a girl to be the cashier. And he tells him, guy's name is Uzi, he goes, you know what, you guys look like you're good for each other. Why don't you date her? What do you got to lose? So he liked her, and he went out with her. And he's getting ready to propose to her. And he says to her, you know I'm not Dati, so why are you dating me? She says, I'm not Dati either. So why do you dress like you're from Bnei Brak? Because many years ago, I was involved in a big fire, and I have scars all over my body. The guy's in shock. Did it happen in Sasson Simcha Hall? Yeah. My father was the maitre d' who wheeled out the cake. You probably don't ever want to speak to me ever again. No. She says, it must be from Shamayim that we should meet. She says, can we go and say hello to your father? And they went and said hello to him. He was crying like a baby. And they ended up getting married. And he lived with her parents. And after a year, he said, you know what, honey, we should get our own place. Because I feel bad, we're taking advantage. And she says, not a problem. After I was treated, there was a lawsuit. 5 million shekels. My parents bought me a 4-bedroom apartment on King George. And they moved right in. The way Hashem runs the world is absolutely amazing. Look how that just happened to be. So we spoke about the TMC dilemma, the too much choice dilemma. They did a study in New York. They went into a supermarket and they put 2 tables. One table had 6 jellies, one table had 24. They'll give you a coupon of $1 off if you buy, and you could taste for free. 60% tasted from the table that had 24, 20% tasted from the table that had the 3. When it came to buying, what do you think happened? Tell me. Huh?
People who have less options bought.
Exactly. 30% bought at the table of 6, only 3% bought at the table of 24. People don't like too much choice. Okay, we're going to talk about that right now. How do I avoid that? Can I share a poem with you? Her nose is too long, her lips too wide. I couldn't possibly take that girl for a bride. She talks and says too many questions, she laughs too loud. She's not that smart, and she only blends in with the crowd. What's that you say? I should give that girl a chance? Okay, if you say so. I won't trust my first glance. Well, what do you know? Am I ever surprised? She has so many pluses that were somehow disguised. Her laugh now sounds so charming, her questions so dear. Her brightness was hidden, her modesty so sincere. I was so arrogant with all my endless demands. Now I'm humbled to see the work of Hashem's hands. I'll always be grateful for such a wonderful wife, whose menschlichkeit and great midot has enriched the days of my life. Now I'm a new dad, and I have to disclose, my precious baby has a gorgeous long nose. Give it a chance, ladies and gentlemen. Don't just swipe and say, not for me. Give it a chance. Try. If you hear good things about the person, try a coffee. Unless you're absolutely, revolted from their looks. Try once, try twice. You never know. Physical attraction, I was telling the cab driver, is something that Hashem built into the system so man should desire a woman and as a result build families. But that's only the lobby of the building. Now we have to build the rest of the building. And how do we do that? Okay. So here on my hands are a list of adjectives. Words that describe people. And what I do is I sit down with my friends, my clients, my students, and I say, let's create a top 10 needs list. What do you want in someone to make you happy? And all you need is 6 out of 10 and physical attraction. I've been using it for 25 years and Kimat never fails. That's how you keep your eye on the ball. That's how you don't go crazy looking at this one and that one. You go out, dating, you know your list, you know what you're looking for. You're not wasting time. I want a careful thinker. I want someone who does tzedakah. I want compassion. I want confident. I want someone who's grateful, knowledgeable. There's many things that you could put on there. I want someone who wants a family, right? Someone's going to be loyal to me. Someone has good family values. Someone who's sincere, not fake. Someone who's going to appreciate privacy. Don't get caught up in the past and live in the past. Focus on your life is now. The past was. The future hasn't happened yet. Focus on now. And don't think about what you think people are thinking, because no one really cares about you anyway. It's about you wanting to take care of yourself. And I want to share another story with you. There was a group that went to a cemetery in Israel, and they were having like a yard site. A guy drives up, and he goes to a certain kever. He unfurls this banner, and he goes, "Ruti titnas'i li, will you marry me?" He's proposing in the cemetery. So they're saying, like, is this guy, is he normal? They went to talk to him, but he got in the car, and he left the cemetery. 15 minutes later, he came back, and the girl comes out of the car. She goes to the kever. She starts crying on the kever. Now these guys come like, what's the story here? There's some story going on. And she tells him, she says, David, her fiance, let me tell them what happened. And she says, I grew up in Yerushalayim, very religious home. I had bad friends. It didn't go so well for me. I got kicked out of school. My father was a simple guy. He was a rabbi. But he never lost confidence in me. Stopped keeping Shabbat. I didn't care. My parents lived in a very religious area. I put the radio on Shabbat. They never said a word to me. Not a word. And I had shorts and tank top. My father would walk with me 3 times a week. What can we do for you, Ruti? Is there anything we can do for you? I moved out. And I, led my own life. I was very happy, but I missed my family. I didn't talk to them in 15 years. Finally, I said to myself, I'm trying to keep Shabbat this week. I'm calling my father and telling him I'm going to come by and say hello. She's waiting. The first Shabbat she's keeping in 15 years. And after Shabbat, she dials the number. And her mother says, Ruti, they just took him to the hospital. He had a heart attack. She says, Hashem Rechem, what timing? She runs to the emergency room, and it was too late. He passed away. And she starts to cry and cry and cry. At the funeral, she fainted. She decided to work on herself and come back to her roots a little bit more. And she met David, who had the same kind of a history. And so David says to them, I thought the best place in the world for me to propose would be right there by her father's grave, because he was there to be her support her whole life. He never questioned her. He was always there for her. He supported her all her life. That's how you raise children, by the way. That's how you raise good children. Love! Right? Love. Okay, how do you know if you're ready to get married? So let's ask some questions. Number one, are you honest? Can you accept criticism? That's important because you're going to get it in marriage. Two, are you self-disciplined? Are you patient? You need that as well. You have to work on that. Can you delay gratification? Can you wait to get what you want and it doesn't have to happen right now? Three, are you responsible? Can she depend on you? Can he depend on you? There was a girl, it took me 3 years to get her a get. She got married to a guy. She was 25 years old in New York. He sat in bed till 3 in the afternoon every day. I said, Esther, why did you marry him? Because I was the only one still single from my high school class. That's a reason to marry the guy? You didn't do any research on him whatsoever? So look into it a little bit. 6, we spoke about this. Do I want to grow? Am I committed to becoming a better person? Most of divorces take place. I would say today the majority of my clients are divorced people. It's an epidemic. Growth stops. I see it. People stop growing. You need to continuously keep your eye on the ball. Again, am I a giver? Can I put someone else's needs before mine? Am I sensitive? Do I care about someone else's suffering? Or is it just bishvili alam nivra? Can I give comfort and support to others? I had a consultation yesterday with a 31-year-old girl living in Israel now who came from Colombia, Darom America. I said, what's your story? She said, I never knew myself. I couldn't connect to people. I couldn't open up. Most guys, it was a one and done. So I had to take the time to work on myself and work and flush out my personality. You need to be able to be vulnerable. Whenever someone tells me, and I set them up, or someone else sets them up, they went out 10, 20, 30 times, I'm just not feeling it. You're not feeling it because you're not opening up. You're not creating a chalon to your soul. You're not letting the person in. And this is what she told me yesterday in my hotel. I didn't let people in. I was like closed up. And that's a problem. Maybe you don't want to share your life. But if you don't, you can't start in this business. You have to be able to be vulnerable. Am I respectful? Can I tolerate differences and appreciate individuality? Meaning that we're all different, especially today, more than ever. We come from so many different backgrounds. Someone asked me today, there was a shatchan at my event yesterday, what do I feel about different cultures? I said it's okay if you have common philosophy. It's fine. Can you communicate effectively? That's so important. Would you say that communication is important in marriage?
Oh, yeah.
You. I'm asking you. Yes?
Yeah, sure.
Isn't it? It's one of the foundations of marriage. It's so important that I'm going to show you something. I'm going to skip to it. That I was invited to a show. It gets like 5 million downloads. Crazy. To explain why people were getting divorced quickly and breaking engagements quickly. I said the communication today is terrible. They're not doing a good job at it. I created a PDF of the 100 most important questions you should ask in dating. And I want to share with every one of you. I have my business card here. I want everyone to WhatsApp me. I'm going to put you on WhatsApp chats because I do videos. You can have educational material all the time, and I'll send you this. It's so important. By the way, in the case of the AI professor and the girl, I ran through 28 questions. In 5 years, they asked 5. 6 maybe. Good communication leads to successful dating. That's so important. Very important. Okay. There's a guy in America called John Gray. Anybody ever hear of him? Men are for the moon and women from Venus. Great guy. Knows his stuff. He was, before he became super successful, a psychotherapist in Hollywood. To the stars. I was amazed as a counselor in Hollywood to discover a striking pattern. Women who were extremely good looking, they look like models and movie stars, which all share the same complaint to me. Their husbands were not sexually attracted to them. And I couldn't understand why, like he's scratching his head. They're beautiful women. I couldn't imagine any available man not being attracted to these women, but it was true. I started to research and I discovered why. These women were pursued by men who were primarily sexually attracted to them, but didn't get to know them. It's like you open any of these like schmutzy newspapers, National Enquirer, latest 90-day Hollywood divorce. These men who stopped being attracted to their partners did not betray these women. Both partners were responsible. They put too much emphasis on the physical aspect of the relationship and never created the opportunity to know and love the other person and to discover their wonderful qualities. And this is what he says. When physical chemistry is not backed up by chemistry in the mind, chemistry in the heart, and chemistry in the soul, it'll never grow over time. It's over. Once the pleasures of the body are experienced, without the passions of the mind and the soul, the physical chemistry will go away and the relationship just goes kaput. Physical attraction can only be sustained for a lifetime when it springs from chemistry of the mind and the heart and the soul. I'll prove it to you. I just thought of something. Here, if I could find it. Here. Incredible story. Darwish Masachi, a Persian Jew, was born in Iran. They're famous in the news these days. 1926. In 1951, he was introduced to his wife, Pari, Zahavian. Zahavian means they were in the gold business. When they had the revolution in 1979, he says, must be, we can't live here anymore. So he hired someone to smuggle them through Turkey to take them to the United States. When he got to the United States, he was too old to work, but his wife got a job working for a doctor. On his 91st birthday, he had to have surgery, and it would require general anesthesia. On the day of the surgery, the family sat in the waiting room saying Tehillim. More remarkably, without ever talking with anyone else, no one said anything to the other person. Every single one of them independently was fasting, not eating or drinking, but they didn't tell anyone else in the family. The procedure began at 7 in the morning, and at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, almost 9 hours later, he was wheeled out of the operating room and into the recovery room. As soon as he wakes up, he's trying to communicate with the nurse. Nurse, nurse. So she comes and says, how can I help you? He says, lunch, please. Mr. Masachi, you had general anesthesia. You can't have food until tomorrow. We're going to be giving you intravenous. Okay, she goes away. 10 minutes later, he comes back. Nurse, lunch. I told you, Mr. Masachi, you're not allowed to eat. And then he's big because he had been intubated. No, you don't understand. My wife, lunch, my wife. What happened? She's probably fasting. So the nurse looks at him. How did you know? He says, when you're married for 61 years, you just know. That's what we're looking for. That kind of connection, that soul connection. That's what we want. And we build it when we're dating. Okay. 10 ways to marry the wrong person. Number 1. I have to give the hakdama. With the divorce rate over 60%, many people are making serious mistakes. Why not learn from their mistakes and we can avoid them? Number 1, you pick the wrong person because you expect that person to change after you're married. Big mistake. You never marry someone's potential. If you want them to change, they have to change while you're dating them, not on any promise. If he has a drug problem, he has an issue, whatever, or she has an issue, you have to see in front of you. What you see is what you get. Number 2, you pick the wrong person because you focus more on chemistry than on character. And we went through that already. Number 4, you pick the wrong person because you don't share common life goals. While you're single now, figure out what your goals are, what you want to get out of life. You're driving the car of your life. Now go look for someone who's going in the same direction. I always tell people something beautiful. Love is not two people looking at each other. Love is two people looking in the same direction. Are we looking in the same direction? And when people don't do their homework, and I see so many divorced people, why didn't you know about this earlier? I never bothered to ask. Ask! Very important. That's why I want everyone to ask me for the questions. Okay. You pick the wrong person because you choose someone who wants to control you or manipulate you. That was the same story with the taxi driver who brought me here today. He said, I was going out with a girl 4 months, but she's always telling me what to do. Controlling me, manipulating me. It's okay to make a suggestion. That's for your benefit. But when they're constantly telling you what to do, it's for their benefit. So look out for that. 8, you pick the wrong person because when you're dating them, if there's something that's bothering you, you don't discuss it. By the way, I love it when there's a problem in a relationship. I want to see how they work it out. There's no such thing as khalat all the way. When there's an issue and they have a disagreement and they work it out, great siman. I have a great feeling about that relationship. Because now we tested it and it works. Very important. Number 9, you pick the wrong person because you use marriage to escape from your problems. Many girls do that. I want to get out of here already. My mother's a pain in the whatever. You know? Just I want to get married. Without giving thought that if there's something going on in your life and you haven't solved it, sending it into the future, into your marriage, won't get rid of the problem. Guess what? Make it worse. Because under one roof now becomes big and magnified. And number 10, you pick the wrong person because that person is involved in a triangle. We know a straight line is 2 points. A triangle is 3 points. What does that mean? That means that the person that you're going out with has other things that are important to them in addition to you. You're not the most important person in their life. Drug addiction, too close to the parents is a problem. Gambling, sports addiction, workaholic. I had a case like this 3 summers ago. A girl comes in and tells me, I was married 3 weeks. This is really funny. I wish it was. After the wedding, they went to the hotel. He's on the phone with his mother for 3 hours. We have a serious problem. Yeah. That's a triangulated situation. And so they gave each other back the gifts, and Shalom al Israel. Again, no one is perfect. People come without challenges and expectations. So watch out. Don't look for perfection, because you also have problems with yourself. A story. I like to tell stories. Natan was the most eligible bachelor in his city. His father had a lot of money. He went around and said, my father passes away. This company is mine. Everything is mine. And he went out only with the best girls. Nechama lived on the other side of town. She came from a poor home. And she couldn't wait to get her turn to go out with Natan. Nobody did any kind of research on the other person. They just decided, let's get married. Most beautiful girl, richest guy. Looks like it's going to work, right? They had 2 baby girls, plenty of help to help, a couple of maids. And when they asked Nechama, would you like to make some time to help the community, volunteer? No, I'll get around to that sometime. I can't, I have to exercise on Monday, got to go to the mall on Tuesday. Natan had a lot of stress at work. You know, money brings stress. His father was very demanding. And he went into the marriage skinny, but now, 5 years later, he's 60 pounds overweight from all the stress. And he comes home late every day because his father constantly gives him things to do. 3 years into the marriage, the glamorous couple was unrecognizable. What happened next is too heartbreaking to tell you. Nathan's father passed away, and it was discovered as many millions of dollars they thought he had even more millions in chovot. There was no money. There was a life insurance policy just to help Nathan's mother. That's it. And so for 11 years, Nathan went from city to city trying this business and that business, always shooting for the next high, failing all the time, until the wife said, "Maspeak," and divorced. The destruction of their marriage was not a surprise. After all, they never bothered to get married for the right reasons. He got married to the sharpest, most stunning girl. She got married to the guy who had the money because she grew up poor. If we sat down with Nechama and said, "Would you like the richest guy? Or would you like an okay guy that could come home at 6 o'clock or 7, help you with the children, help you at home?" What'd she say to us? She'd say, give me the okay guy, the middle of the road. And if we asked Natan, do you have to have the most stunning girl who only cares about herself? We just think of an okay girl that's into chesed and helps others and is kind and shares. He would have told us, he'll take the middle of the road girl. The unfortunate problem is, most people don't stop to do the research. Now I'm going to tell you something interesting. There's a very interesting movement going on out there in YouTube. I know because Manis Friedman talks about it a lot, and I'm also a very big talker about this. He's a Chabad guy. There's an interest in the public that's secular or not even Jewish in going back to the old values of the man being the mashpia and the woman being the mekabel. The man is the confident guy. He's the guy who's the bal achrayut. And the woman is the receiver. When we have a flip of those roles, and the woman is she's doing the giving heavy, and he's doing the receiving, he should be giving the love, the warmth, the affection. He has to lead. And if he's not doing that, and he says, give, crisis develops. One of the most important things is that people want this today. Women are writing for this stuff. We want to surrender to a man, but where do you find such a guy? They want the guy to lead. I was in Central Park. I did an event 3 weeks ago for Jody Samuels, JIC. Every woman asking me the same question. What happened to the men? What happened to them? Feminism. Yeah. Every woman gets up and asks me the same question. What happened to them? They basically, I told the guy, I'm sorry. I told the guy, they don't have the Beitzim anymore. And it's changed everything. And it's wreaking havoc. And if we get back to the old system, this is the healthiest system. Because that's the system that the Torah designed for the most healthiest relationships. Okay, girls. What makes you a winner as a girl? So John Gray, I looked this up for you. What's the one quality? I know a lot of girls out there, they're worried. What's going to be? Am I going to get married? The most important quality that makes a woman most attractive? Self-assurance. You've noticed that there's some special women out there that seem to get the guys. They have them wrapped around their fingers. How does that woman do it? The man will do whatever she wants. These women have an air of grace and trust. It's not so different than having emunah. I hold of myself. I'm not arrogant. I hold of myself. I expect a guy to do whatever he has to do. And if he doesn't, it's not for me. They're self-assured. They respect themselves. And expect and assume the man to respect them. When she's not respected, she doesn't get angry, she just moves on. This guy's a loser, he's not for me. Next. She deserves what she needs and will get it because she believes in herself. Very few women are built that way. They are born with this attitude. For most, it can be developed. The idea that I'm going to get what's coming to me. By believing in yourself and believing in your future. So I thought that was important. To keep it balanced, there are 3 qualities that makes a guy attractive. Number 1, Masculinity, confidence, making a woman feel feminine. For example, I tell a guy who's going out on a date, do me a favor, don't drive to her house and tell her, we'll do whatever you want. No, make the plan. Decide on what restaurant you want, and you want to go for drinks after. Make the plan. I have this problem with this AI guy. He makes the girl, you do the travel arrangement, you do it. I said, no, it's not happening again. Dude, get on Google and figure it out.
He's got AI, that's all what to do.
What?
He's got
Yeah, figure it out. That's one. Two, the second quality that makes a man attractive to women, purposefulness. He's living for a reason. In French it's called raison d'être. He has a plan in life. He wants, even if it's a small plan. I'm going to tell you a cute line. Women love the man with the plan. They like to see a plan. No plan. What are you doing with your life? Now, today I took a consultation to America. 6 jobs. I hustle this, I hustle that. This is not going to work. And the brother-in-law was expecting me to set this guy up. This is not going to work. We need a good solid job, not 6 little mini jobs. You understand? What's your purposefulness? And 3, responsibility. She needs to see that you can handle your responsibilities in life. That's key. You know, you could tell her in COVID, my father got sick, God forbid.